Sure. Here's a 680-word YouTube script for your channel Car Operation, offering a detailed review of the 1959 Bedford S-Type truck. Welcome back to Car Operation, the channel where we bring the classics back to life. Today, we're diving deep into a true British workhorse, the 1959 Bedford S-Type truck. Whether you're a vintage enthusiast or just love well-built machines, this is one truck that deserves your attention. Let's take a full tour of its exterior, interior, performance, and what it might cost you today if you want to own a piece of history. Let's start with the exterior. The Bedford S-Type has that unmistakable 1950s commercial design, big, bold, and built to last. The cab-over-engine layout gives it a muscular presence with that tall, flat front and wide grille. The twin headlights are set low into the front fascia, and the bold chrome Bedford badge commands attention right above them. The body is all steel, and depending on its configuration, flatbed, box van, or tanker, the length and look can vary. What stands out most is the design's simplicity and functionality. No frills, just honest, hard-working engineering. Even today, the paint often holds up surprisingly well on restored models. Factory colors were typically utilitarian, shades like olive green, industrial blue, or British racing green. But custom restorations often give them more flair, with cream and burgundy two-tone finishes being popular among collectors. The large wheel arches, exposed fuel tanks, and heavy-duty mirrors add to its rugged charm. It's not a design that's trying to impress, it just is, naturally, by being unapologetically utilitarian. Stepping into the interior, you're met with an atmosphere that's pure vintage utility. This is not a luxury cab, it's a driver's workspace from the 1950s. The first thing you'll notice is the wide bench seat, often covered in basic vinyl, built to seat 2 or even 3 people if necessary. It's a high vantage point, giving the driver excellent visibility. The dashboard is straightforward, with large dials and gauges giving you all the essential information: speed, oil pressure, fuel level, and water temperature. Everything is mechanical and analog, as you'd expect. The steering wheel is huge, partly to help with the heavy manual steering. Gear shifting is via a column-mounted lever or a floor shifter, depending on the model. Heating and ventilation are minimal, but that was normal for the time. No power windows, no air conditioning, just raw, mechanical driving. That said, many restored S-types get some modern upgrades like improved sound insulation, newer seating materials, or discrete audio systems, but the best ones retain their original simplicity. Now, let's talk about performance. Under the hood, the 1959 Bedford S-Type was typically powered by a 4.9-liter straight-six petrol engine, although diesel variants were also available, especially in later years. The petrol engine wasn't fast, you're looking at around 90 horsepower, but it delivered reliable, low-end torque. That was crucial for hauling heavy loads across towns or up the hilly terrain of post-war Britain. The gearbox was usually a 4-speed manual, and there's no synchromesh in first gear, so you really had to know your revs and double clutch. This is a truck that rewards driver skill. Top speed. Maybe 50 miles per hour, if you're lucky, in downhill. But this wasn't built for speed, it was built to carry weight, and it did that well, with a payload rating of around 5 to 7 tons, depending on the version. Braking is handled by drum brakes all around, which were adequate for the time but need to be respected today. Fuel economy was never a strong point, expect around 8 to 12 miles per gallon, depending on load and driving conditions. But again, that's not the point. This was a tool, and it did its job with British grit and consistency. Now let's get into prices. A Bedford S-Type in barn-find condition can start around $5,000 to $8,000, but expect significant restoration costs. A roadworthy example with some patina might run you $15,000 to $20,000. Fully restored show-quality trucks, especially with unique body styles or custom paint, can fetch upwards of $35,000 to $45,000. Prices have been rising as collectors appreciate their rarity and charm. So, is the 1959 Bedford S-Type truck worth owning? If you're into classic British vehicles and love the idea of preserving a piece of working-class history, then absolutely yes. It's not fast, it's not glamorous, but it's full of character, reliability, and vintage industrial charm. That wraps up our deep dive into the 1959 Bedford S-Type truck. If you enjoyed this review, Hit that like button, subscribe to Car Operation, and tell us in the comments, would you drive one of these classics today? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next ride. Let me know if you want a voiceover version or visual script to match.